So this video is not just any old TV hanging guide, but it's going to be a comprehensive one where I show you how to hang your TV on any wall that you're likely to encounter. Back in the days of the solid wall, it couldn't really be any simpler. But in today's world, with dot and dab walls, plasterboard stud walls and solid walls, we need to know how to fix TVs to so many different surfaces, and I'm going to cover all of those in this video. With any TV installation, the first stage of your process will always be to select the correct bracket for your TV and to choose a location. So I'm going to lay the TV facing downward on a soft surface like this sofa here, and that allows us to install the bracket on the back of the TV. Now, of course, all TVs are different in shape, size and design. I've just got to take the stand off this one, and then there are holes in which I can install a TV bracket. In this case, the homeowner's gone for this Pearl Smith bracket under my recommendation because I like their brackets and I've used them before. I'll put links down below where you can get Pearl Smith brackets. They're really good and you can get lots of different sizes and variables. And if we open the box up, straight away, you've got a set of these instructions. Now, I'm not great at reading instructions, but I would advise that if you're new to hanging TVs, you give the instructions a look. And always make sure that the bracket that you've got is recommended for the TV size and weight. So this section is what we're going to screw to the wall, and this section is what we're going to fix to the back of the TV. So there's an arrow on there facing up, and we're going to fix that on the 4 bolt holes in the back of the TV. Now, normally when you get a TV bracket, you get a ton of different bolt sizes. Now, that is to fit most common TVs. If the bolt's too long, you could damage the TV, or it could bottom out and not grip the bracket, and if it's too short, it won't thread in. So we need to find the perfect size for this TV. You'll also get a selection of spacers and washers like you can see me using here, and that will allow me to get the perfect length. So that's our bracket attached to the back of the TV, and whichever bracket you have, that is the first stage that you need to complete. We're now going to move on to fixing the wall section of the bracket to the wall. Now, on this particular wall, we already have sockets and an aerial in a position on the wall, and the homeowner wants it in this position. But if you're starting from scratch with a blank canvas, you'll need to decide where you want to put your TV. And inherently, some of that will be dictated by the location of these things, electrical sockets or outlets on the wall. But it's not the end of the world if you don't have them. I do have a video on the channel showing you how to install additional sockets, and I'll link it at the end of this video. But if you're not able to do that, give an electrician a call and they'll be able to come out and put a socket in the location that you require so that you can wall hang your TV. So I'll grab a tape measure and I'll find the center of this wall here. So the center of this wall is directly under this socket, and if we drill underneath, above or beside an electrical socket, there is a chance that we could hit the cable inside the wall. So unless you know exactly where the cable runs, don't drill underneath or beside an electrical socket. But there's a few other ways we can check for cables in the wall. The first one is this, a multi-detector. You can check in the wall underneath your socket to make sure that there's no cables in the wall. The other thing we can do is take the face of the socket off and have a look to see what way the cables run into the box. So now we've got the face of the socket pulled forward, we can see that there's no cables entering the box from down below. So although we're going to be drilling in a zone, we know that there's no cables within that zone. So I'll put the socket back and we can drill some holes. When you choose the position for your TV, also consider height, because some people like the TV to be eye level and some people like it to be higher up on the wall. It's all personal preference, and it's about striking a balance between practicality of installation and visual appearance at the end of the job. So now I'll mark a center line with a small level along where I want the TV to sit. Now, pencil marks don't matter because they're going to be behind the TV. Now I mark the height of the bracket and draw a line for the height, and then you can see I've got a center mark so that I can hold my bracket in place and mark where the holes need to be drilled. With some of the bigger brackets, you'll even get a template that you can stick on the wall that will guide you through this part of the process. So we're going to drill these holes now, and this is where we come on to the bit that a lot of people struggle with, and that is how to fix a heavy item like this TV to different wall types. And I'm going to be showing you the big three in this video: dot and dab, plasterboard stud walls and solid walls. But we're starting with this, the dot and dab wall. And to fix TV brackets to dot and dab walls, for many years now I've been using these. These are my go-to for dot and dab walls, and they are Corefix fixings. In fact, these are soon to be renamed to Corefix Connect. But these are currently in the old packaging, so we'll still refer to them as Corefix for now. They're specifically designed for this type of application. I stand behind these. They're truly a fantastic product, and I'm going to be using them today to show you how we fix TV brackets to dot and dab walls. So there's three elements to the Corefix fixing. What I'm going to do now is drill the hole first, and then I'll show you exactly how they work. Now the first part of the Corefix fixing is this red plug here, and we need to drill a 10mm hole into the plasterboard, and this plug is going to insert into the hole that we drill. Keep the drill nice and level, apply good pressure and drill into the wall. The hole needs to be 95mm in depth. Now you'll need to repeat this for all of the fixings in your bracket. In my case there's only two, but you may have more if your bracket's a little bit bigger. Now we'll just suck the dust out of the holes that we made. Now grab the red plug, place it in the hole, and I'll use a small hammer to knock the plug all the way into the hole. The second part of the Corefix fixing is this. This is the metal core, and what we're going to do now is hit that into the plug. That core transfers the load to the block or brick behind and stops the plasterboard from bowing or cracking when you tighten the screw up. The final bit of the Corefix fixing is, of course, the screws. Now we need our bracket at this stage because we can now screw this to the wall. So I've just popped the screws in to the Corefix fixings for now, and what I can do now is just start to tighten those screws up. I'll start off with an impact driver, but I'll stop short and finish them by hand. Finishing them by hand is better because you can feel how tight the screw is. So that's the wall section of our bracket up on a dot and dab wall, and you can see how easy the Corefix fixings are to use, and they give you an incredible amount of strength into that dot and dab plasterboard wall. So for any time you're fixing TV brackets to dot and dab walls, or in fact anything heavy to dot and dab walls, make sure you've got a box of these at hand. Thanks Corefix. So we've looked at dot and dab, which is really common, and now we're going to move on to plasterboard stud walls. Now this is a plasterboard stud wall. Easy way to tell: tap the wall and it sounds very hollow wherever we tap on that wall. Now to fix a TV bracket to a stud wall, it's always good if we can find a stud within that wall. Now you could use a multi-detector with the stud finder function, and we should be able to find a stud. But I'm not going to use that because I appreciate that a lot of you are going to want to know how to fix into plasterboard rather than a stud. Because of the colour of the paint you can't really see, but I've got two marks for the holes in the bracket, and just like before I'm going to use a 10mm masonry bit, and I'm going to drill a hole on the two marks. Now plasterboard's really soft and you're going to go through this really quickly, but as you pass through, stop and don't go any further. Now you can see you don't need to push very hard at all, and you'll drill a hole through the plasterboard. Now for plasterboard we're going to use these M5 hollow wall anchors. Now in the test that I did a couple of years ago, that I'll link in the description, you saw these perform quite well compared to a lot of the competition, and they're really easy to use. So we're going to go with these to hold our bracket, and they'll give us a nice solid fixing into the plasterboard. Now the best way to use these is with a setting tool. All you do is pop the screw head into the setting tool, you pop it into the hole that you've drilled like that. Now give the handle a squeeze until it won't go any further, release the pressure to remove the tool, and the fixing is set. Now we've removed the bolt, we can just place it back in, and now just like before, we can level and fix the bracket in place. I've got one more fixing type to show you. Before I do that, if you're not subscribed, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss out on all the videos I've got to come, and hit the like button because that helps this video reach and help more people like you on YouTube. And the last wall type that you might want to hang a TV on is of course the solid wall. Now we've got a slightly different bracket this time for a bigger TV, but the process remains the same. I'm just marking out the holes to drill, But now what size hole do I need to drill? Well, a lot of that comes down to the type of fixings that you're going to use. And I like to use these X1 Evos. They're a really good plug for any type of concrete, brick or block. But I'd suggest you go for any type of plug that is at least 50 millimeters in length and 8 millimeters in diameter. Now you need to pair your plug with a relevant screw. This is a coach screw. It's 50 millimeters long by 8 millimeters in diameter, and look at that. It fits the plug perfectly. And when the screw's in, the flange on the head of the screw actually sits over the bracket and you don't have to use a washer. So these two paired together are absolutely perfect. Now we need to drill a 12 millimeter hole for this plug. And when you're working on solid walls, you're probably going to need one of these, an SDS drill with an SDS drill bit. I only need to drill a hole long enough to fit my plug. So I put a bit of tape on the drill bit so I know where to stop. And we can now just drill the holes in the wall on the marks that we made. So with my holes drilled, I can now pop the plugs in. Push them in and then just tap them with a hammer. Now we've got our plugs in, we can put our bracket on. I'll just pop the screws in hand tight, level the bracket using a spirit level, and then I'm going around with a socket and just doing up the screws. And now you'll be able to hang your TV on that and it will hold an absolutely crazy amount of weight. Now you know how to fix a TV bracket to the most common wall types. Let's get back to hanging the TV on the bracket. Now take hold of the TV and hang it on the bracket. Depending on the size of the TV, I'd recommend getting a hand with this if it's really big. This bracket's actually a little bit fiddlier than some. Some of the flat brackets, rather than the full motion ones, you just hang them on the bracket and really that's all you have to do. So I've locked the TV in place on the bracket, and now because this is a full motion bracket, I can work on finding the final level because the bracket is adjustable. And that is it. We should have a working TV. Just like that. And you can see that once you've got your head around different bracket types and different types of walls, it's actually a really easy job, and I'd encourage all of you to give this a go yourself. If you found this video helpful, click on one of these because you're bound to like them as well, and I'll see you guys in the next one.